I've seen the best and the worst of divorce situations, or couples who are no longer together and having children. And I always try to make sure that my relationship with my ex and my relationship with my current wife didn't get to a point where it was unhealthy. And so in going into the divorce, knowing that I wanted to remarry at some point, I tried to lay a foundation for, okay, here's how this is going to be. There were some challenges initially with my ex-wife, separate from, anyone that I was dating, just in terms of, her personality, how the relationship ended, so on and so forth. But when we fast forward to when I did remarry, and even in the few months right before the wedding, I sensed that there was some tension, and not because anything my girlfriend at the time, my fiance at the time, actually had done, but it was just that we're all familiar with the ex, whether it be the male or the female, saying, well, that person, just because they are in a relationship with you, is not welcome in my space, or is not welcome around my child, or don't even mention that person's name, in front of my child, kind of stuff. And I tried to nip that in the bud. Once I got to a point where I was seriously, involved with her, because previous to that, no one that I dated, following my divorce, met my son. That was an absolute rule. But once you get to a point where you are serious with someone, at the appropriate time, it is time to engage that person with the child. And when I did that, oh my goodness, the lid blew off the pot, and I was like, whoa, didn't see that coming, but I should have known. And so I immediately, was like, hold on, to my ex, first of all, we will talk and we will do everything in a civil manner. You don't get a say in who I'm going to be with. So you don't get a say in who's going to be around our son. Just trust me enough to know that this person is not going to harm, our son. He was 7 at that time when he met my current wife. And then even, with my current wife, there had to be this conversation of, okay, the same conversation I had with her new husband, with my ex-wife's new husband, about, he's there as the spouse, not the dad. I'm the dad, I'm the father. So it was the same type of conversation with my current wife, letting her know that my son would be respectful of her. She didn't have to, try to play mommy role, because he has a mom there, and so setting those conversations in motion, establishing those boundaries, I think goes a long way. Now, it was not always perfect, Rajai. You know that I think you and I met right around that time where it was like a little rocky, and I'm still trying to smooth it out, kind of stuff. But what I found is that 9 times out of 10, the responses always fed off of the energy that I would allow into a situation. So, for example, my son's 9th birthday, I was like, there's absolutely no logical reason why we got to have 2 birthday parties. We are all grown. We can have a birthday party where we can all be present and be respectful of one another, and not have to do this double birthday, double Christmas, double Thanksgiving and stuff. It's a child. So that, the issue played itself out. It was like, okay, well, you don't want to come to my house and you don't want us at your house, so let's meet at a restaurant. And I was like, I dare either one of you to act like you don't have good home training. And it was a beautiful evening. Now, party A sat on one end of the table, party B was on the other end of the table. My son did, he had no issue with it. And that I think is where we as the adults in these situations have to put our differences aside, have to realize, okay, that person, or, both of you have moved on with your life, get over it. Parent this child together. Allow the person that your ex is involved with, allow them the space to just be who they are and not feel like they are a threat to you. Because that 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. You know, everybody's just trying to move on with their life. But I do have a homeboy that I grew up with, and when I tell you his situation is worst case scenario, even after the kids are grown out of the house, and no worst case scenario. Like if there was ever a book on how not to do that, I think he wrote it.
Wow. Wow. Stan, well, man, I jotted down as usual. You know, I got my pencil and paper, man. So I got some stuff I'm gonna come back at you guys with. But right now, I want to get. You said a couple things. I was like, oh boy, yeah. Stan, talk to us. Talk to us.
Well, I know each situation is a little different. Mine wasn't that much different from yours. I know for myself, I have to say that so that is when it gets out of this, it's not a blanket statement, but everything was fine until the ex heard that I had a date. That was no contact. Everything was great.
Right.
But the very next day, I get the call. And at that particular time, my sons were with me. I mean, the bottom fell out. I mean, things, as you say, you did not expect it.
Uh-huh.
Right. I was in the middle of a military transfer from Virginia to Athens, Georgia. Had not even checked into my command yet. And I get a call from my command while I'm on leave, looking for a place. Said, Carson, you need to come in. We've been, and they say, well, okay, well, no, you need to come in this afternoon. I'm freeing up some time for you at 12, and I need to have you here. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Maybe they need me early. Maybe someone is transferred and they really need the body in there. So I show up, but I have my sons with me. And I will say, I am so proud of that day because they were the most perfect gentlemen. And I'm getting this stuff from this guy, and he's saying, we've been receiving this call that you're not taking care of your children. And I am,
what?
Oh, you're not taking care of your children. You're not sending child support. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And we just, you haven't checked in. We needed to check you out before you came in because we could not continue to have these calls. At this particular military base, this is almost a family, this is a college and it's a family setting. And we cannot have someone come in like that. I haven't even checked in. I'm 2 weeks away from them seeing me for the first time. Wow. And I'm like, okay, I really don't know what you're talking about. But well, yes, Mrs. Carson called and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and somewhere in there, he decided to look up. Instead of the conversation of not sending child support, we weren't divorced at the time. But again, this is the day after I had one date. We're not married. This is a date. And it really, at